In this video, we'll be creating a database and a table within that database in MySQL Workbench using the same admin user that we've created in the previous video. Now, to create a database, we can click on this icon over here which says create a new schema in the connected server. So I'm going to click on that. Now I'll give it a database name. I'm just going to call it test, maybe DB. Yeah, test database. And I'm going to click on apply and apply again. And now we'll execute our SQL statement and our database is created. Now to see the database, click on schemas, and then over here we get the database name. If we click on the arrow to expand our database, we can see a few things, but we haven't got a table yet. So we can right click on tables and choose to create a table. Now when we're creating a table, we first want to give it a table name. I'm going to call this user, and then I would like to give in my column. So I'm going to change view from here, and this allows me to add column names. So for the first column, I like that to be called an ID. I want it to be an integer. I also want it to be a primary key, and I want it to be null, meaning that this value cannot be empty in the table. The other thing that I'd like to apply here is the auto incremental. So this will increment by automatically, which is good because we don't want our ID to ever be the same, or two IDs to ever be the same. Since it's a primary key, it should be different. It should be unique for every record. So this will make sure that it will automatically assign or increment an ID for that. We'll look at that later on how it works. For now, let's create the columns. I'd like a first name, and I'm going to keep it as a string with size 45 for now. If we need to increase that, we can do that later. Last name, keep that as a string, and username, yep, that looks like an M, but it's an RN. And then we'd like an email, and then let's do a password. Now for the password, if we want to ever hash that one in the future, we definitely need to increase the size. Let's keep it as this for now because we're not going to hash anything yet. I'm going to click on apply, and here is the SQL statements. Let's execute them and click on finish. To actually see, so now we are sort of in edit mode of the table. To actually see the table, we click on this arrow and we can see the user table. If we click on this grid or this little table, it actually runs the command to select all the records, all the columns from that table, but we haven't got anything in there. So let's create, or let's put in some data. Now for the ID, we won't put anything ourselves because this will automatically be assigned. For the first name, I'll just say test1. For the last name, test2. Not the best names, but we just want some dummy data. For the username, test1, and for the email, test1@test.com. For the password, test1. Not the best password, but again, we'll work on this later. So in the future, we want this data to actually come in through a browser, but for now, let's just do this. Second user, it's got the name test3 for first name, for last name test4. This will be our second user, test2@test.com, and the password test2. Now to save this data, we actually have to click on apply. Once we apply, we can actually see the command in SQL. So if you want to look into that, click on apply and finish. Now we can actually see this is now saved, and the ID is being automatically generated for us. So that's it for creating. So we created a database called test database, and we've only created one table there. If you ever need to go back to the edit mode, you can just click on this sort of edit button, which is also a tab that we've opened previously there. So that is the same thing. If you've ever closed this one, you can always come back like that and make any changes if needed. But that's it for now, and we'll stay tuned for further videos on this. Thank you.